If you had to describe this season in one word each.
But if you crush the masses, who builds your monuments? Who tongues your taint? The people will tear it apart themselves. You just gotta nudge them a little.
Hi guys, who are you? Bienvenidos a Mexico.
Gracias.
Hi girls, who are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
Welcome to Mexico.
Thank you.
I'm really excited for this season, and I'm going to start this interview talking to you, Karen, because what I loved about last season is Kimiko coming to terms with the idea that compound B is not what makes a person bad, but the person itself, and bad people are just bad people. And she also lost her powers and she regained them. But how is all of this that she's been through going to change her perception that she has about herself and her abilities?
I think she's, at the end of season 3, she finally comes to terms with having these powers, and she needs them, She needs her powers in order to make a difference and protect the found family that she's a part of. In season 4, you'll see more of her using those powers that she reclaimed, and it's sort of like coming into her own identity. Identity is a huge theme this entire season, but that was a big part of it. I think half of the work was done, and then the other half is all the trauma that she's faced, and now she's trying to move forward and progress.
I'm really excited for this season, and I'm going to start by telling you by saying something I always wanted to say in camera, which is previously on The Boys. Last season we saw Homelander being restrained by Bot, and this time he's completely out of control. And he also has this new power beyond his abilities, which is the control over the masses, or a very particular part of the population. So I'm going to know, how deranged is he going to get now that he realizes he has this control over a certain part of the population?
I think where things go for Homelander is it's a really interesting balance of very internal about confronting his past, and which he's always been doing through the entire show, but that really comes up. That features pretty heavily in season 4, and it's a very interesting place that he goes internally. And of course that marries externally what's going on. That drives what he's doing with regards to the rest of the world. So he's always deranged. How deranged does he get? That depends who you are as a viewer. Because it might seem normal, in which case you're deranged.
So this season your character takes on a bigger role. I'm really excited about that because I love your character. I'm so curious about the way her ambitions are going to change, or how are they going to be impacted by by being supported by Homelander and having all of his supporters, which are kind of weird guys, behind her.
I think the main thing about this season for Victoria Newman is that she's kind of going off on her own for the first time. It's usually been under the umbrella of Stan Edgar, and he's been the one that's kind of leading her along or influencing her movements, essentially. So it's kind of like she's putting on her big gal boots in a weird way and doing it herself, and it doesn't really go the way that she wants it to.
Never does.
No, I know, I was about to say it, it never does.
It.
I think she thinks she knows what she's doing, but it all becomes very daunting.
Also last season we had the deep proving that he has what he needs to be Homelander's right hand. But this season I want to know, is he still gonna be following him, or are we up to seeing him finding a bigger individuality, finding how to do his own business instead of running errands for other people?
I feel like for me personally, as a fan of the character, I've always wanted to see that be explored a little bit. What could he get away with on his own? What is he willing to sort of push the boundaries of his assertiveness, which we know he's never gonna succeed, right? But I do think it's interesting how through Homelander osmosis, he's trying to pick up on things and take cues from Homelander to either emulate him or get validation from him. And ultimately he is sort of exploring his assertiveness a bit and maybe lashing out a little bit. I find that interesting to see where that's going to go and sort of how far he's going to push that.
This year we see Starlight supporters fighting Homelander's followers, and Anne is standing in the middle of all that. How is her perception about this all going to be, knowing that she's kind of the flag of this very polarizing war that threatens to destroy the city?
I mean, it's so weird because I feel like in one respect, I look at this character as such a separate being because I have to, but I still feel so invested in her because we've been playing these characters for enough years now. So just now I thought about that position that she's put in, which I lived not long ago, like a year ago, and I literally got full body chills because I just was intimidated by that scene in the trailer that we see where she and Homelander are surrounded by the Starlighters and the Home Teamers, Starlighters and the Home Teamers. And it's, like you said, very polarized environment because it's literally the opposite of what she wanted. At least with the Home Teamers, like you can look at Homelander and say, okay, well, you're watching him attain his objective. But with her, she has gone through every obstacle course one can go through to get to where she is. And she has tried so hard to do the right thing. And it keeps landing her in these positions where she's just like experiencing kind of the nightmare outcome. So that is just like, it evokes like a visceral physical response in me because she keeps sort of showing up for every situation and every thing that she's confronted with a level of strength that even as we see her strength waver this season, and I would argue that everyone needs to go through a period of that in order to get to the strongest version of themselves. To be able to have this accumulative effect from the sexual abuse she's been through, the emotional abuse, the emotional manipulation, the amount of pressure, I think by that point anyone would collapse, but we can't look at it that way because it's within the context of this universe and everything is relative. And so we look at it and we will watch this character that has contextually proven to us that she is unambiguously good and her motivations are good. So if she does certain things that are really wrong and just does not mean to, how does that determine who she really is? And she's just like, to try so hard and end up in the position that she's ended up in this season is gonna be heart-wrenching for the audience to watch, I hope. I think it's just a matter of who she is on the other side of it. That's the really important thing. But it's gonna take a while to get there, and it's gonna be like pulling teeth in the process.
These characters, both the people, especially Homelander, were not meant to be idolized. However, a certain part of the followers of these shows have taken them as heroes and see them, taking kind of a word of inspiration from them. So I want to know, why do you think that even though the show is very clear in what kind of people these characters are, there are some followers that have a different idea about them and idolize them?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think, and you correct me if I'm not sure if it's still happening as much, but I know there was a period there a couple of years ago when it was very prevalent, which is interesting because, you know, the show is pretty unambivalent about about who and what these people are. I think it's very clear. The least clear would be Butcher, who seems very morally and ethically conflicted. I think it's pretty, we're not good characters on the show. So anyone that sees them, remember what I just said about the derangement? If you think what Homelander's doing is deranged, then you're probably normal and vice versa. So I think it's very interesting that happened, but if I'm not mistaken, I remember coming out and seeing that, and I think Eric made a couple of posts on social media clarifying exactly who and what, you know, that was not the intention of the story and the character, and I did the same from memory. I can't remember. It's a little hazy, but I remember what you're talking about, and I think it's very strange.
You have to describe this season in one word each.
Which one?
Sorry, which one are we?
Unstable.
Unsteady.
Unsteady.
Wait. Destabilizing. Maybe destabilizing. Oh, wait, no. Traumatizing for me. Traumatizing.
Well, sounds like my daily life. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Girl, that was a pretty wow.
Thank you so much for talking to me. Congratulations on the season.
So much.
I'm so excited to finally see it.
Thank you so much.
Your team. What's your code name again?
The boys.
Oof. Who came up with that shit?